Hey, welcome to Verbling. My name is Hamish, and in this hour we are going to take a good look at the speaking section of the TOEFL exam. We're going to look in particular at question number 2 in the speaking exam, which are a series of questions that require you to make a choice. Okay, so they're going to give you an option, give you 2 things, and they'll need you to choose between those 2 things. And when they give you that question, let me put a question like that in the chat box and read that for you. An example question. Here we go. Eyes. Some people prefer to live in a small town. Other people prefer to live in a big city. Which place would you prefer to live in? Okay, let me put that question in our chat box so we can see it as we come in. There we go. So a question like that, though, in the TOEFL exam, you'll hear the question on your earphones, and you'll see the question on the screen as well. And the TOEFL exam, they will give you just 15, that's 15 seconds to prepare your answer. And then, when you hear the beep, you'll get 45 seconds to speak, to give your answer. So I'll put that in the chat box as well so that we have that during our class today. So 15 to prepare, and 45 seconds to, oops, sorry, I spelled that right, there we go, speak. All right, let me say hello to a couple of students and then we'll get moving. Hello and welcome back to Ida. Hello, Ida.
Hello, teacher. Nice to see you again today.
Nice to see you too. How are you?
Well, really good. I'm pretty well.
I'm glad. How I have to boast. I have beautiful weather here in Tennessee. How is the weather with you?
Well, I have a question to you, teacher. It doesn't necessarily rain in where you live, because always we ask you, you have blue sky, a lot of sun. It's incredible.
It's so crazy. It is crazy.
No, it's unfair. It's not crazy.
You have to move to Tennessee because it's always good weather in Tennessee.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's only one reason for bad weather in Tennessee, and that's a tornado. If there's a tornado, then we say, oh, that's bad weather today, because that's quite a strong wind. But apart from that, I've got to say, it's pretty consistently wonderful here, the weather.
Yeah.
Lots of things aren't so great. The food isn't so great, but the weather, fantastic. So nice to have you back in class, by the way. Let me also say hello, and you're going to need to help me with the name here. I've got to kind of...
Okay, I would write it down in the chat box, okay? I think it will be helpful for you.
Oh, sure, okay.
Yeah, like this.
Ah, okay, so tell me, how do I say that?
It's Wojtek. Yeah.
Wojtek, all right, I like that. Yeah. Wojtek, so good to meet you. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you, and how are you?
I'm pretty good, Wojtek,
Hi, Ida. Hi, Ida. It's my second class with you, Ida. Yeah, today.
I'm so she's glad to see you there. Tell me, Wojtek, where are you from?
I'm from Poland.
Poland, so good to have you here from Poland in the Verbling class. Tell me something else. Are you planning to take the TOEFL exam, Wojtek, or are you here just to practice your English with us?
No, not really. Just to practice.
Okay. The good news is, questions like these TOEFL questions, especially the questions in part 1, and also, the question 1 questions and the question 2 questions, and those question 2 questions, the ones we're going to practice in this hour, these are great questions, yes, if we want to prepare for the TOEFL exam. They're also great questions if we want to improve our English and improve our way of getting to know people from English-speaking cultures and countries. So good to practice whether you want to take the TOEFL exam or not. The special thing about the TOEFL exam when we practice is there's a strict time limit in terms of how much time we have to prepare our answer and how much time we have to give our answer as well. So that's the difference between, of course, being a natural conversation and a TOEFL question as well. So, Wojtek, before we start, what, are you a student? Do you work? What are you doing at the moment?
I work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what do you do?
I'm a software developer.
Okay, software developer. And how long have you been working as a software developer?
Oh, for 5 or 6 years now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And are you enjoying the work? Do you work for a company? Do you work for yourself? How does it?
I quit job recently, and now I'm work for my own.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So big step. Yeah.
It's a very big step. And what do you think? Do you prefer working for yourself?
Yes. Because it's good to be a boss for yourself. Sometimes it's really hard to motivate yourself, but it's okay for now. And I'm enjoying my freedom.
Very nice, very nice. Me too, by the way.
Okay.
I love the sound of that. I think I might need to put that on my wall somewhere when I get up in the morning. Freedom, it's a good thing. I'm so glad. I'm glad you're getting on well with your work, and I'm also glad that you joined us here in class today. Thank you so much for that. Let me say hello and welcome back to Igor. Hello, Igor. How are you today?
Hi, I'm doing very well. How about you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for asking. And thank you for coming back to class as well. Let me also say hello to, yes, Adrian. Adrian, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
Okay, I'm glad. Let's get started, shall we? Because I want us to practice with, of course, with as many students as possible, but also, and I think maybe more importantly for this class, with as many questions as possible. Because one of the best things to do if we're preparing for an exam like the TOEFL, or if we simply just want to improve our ability to communicate with other people using English as a second language, we want to prepare and practice with as many questions, a variety of questions as possible. So maybe we're great talking about our family. Maybe we're great talking about our hometown. But there are other things, of course, that people are going to ask about. And if you visit the UK or Australia or the United States or Canada or New Zealand, wherever it is you go, where English is that main language, they're going to be interested, and they're going to ask you a wide variety of questions about where you're from and what you like and what you don't like, and of course what the culture in your country is like. They'll have a lot of questions, and if you can answer those, with good details and with calm confidence, helps you make friends, helps you do business, and helps you enjoy your time in that country. So they're good things to practice. And sometimes we get a question in the list and the practice we do, and we think to ourselves, oh, okay, yes, I wasn't quite ready for that one. I need to think about my answer. I also need to think about the vocabulary as well, or maybe I need to think about the tense I'm using to make sure it's consistent. That's okay, especially in a class like that. That's absolutely fine. We're in this class to try, to practice, and if we make a mistake, nothing wrong with that. So all I ask is that you try your best and that you have a go at answering some of these questions with me today. So no problem there. All right. Now let me put that question in again. It's just an example. Here it is. Yes. So our example question. Wojtek, could you read the question in the chat box for us?
Okay. Some people prefer to live in a small town. Others prefer to live in a big city. Which place would you prefer to live in?
Right. So that question that's a classic example of a question that you will get. You'll get some kind of question like that in the TOEFL exam. The sort of question that asks you to make a choice. Also, the sort of question that requires you not to be an expert in an academic subject or a commercial subject. You just have to be an expert in you, in what you like, in what you prefer, whether it's things you prefer to do or eat or drink or watch, or places you prefer to live, or where you want to go on holiday, where you like to spend time with your family and friends. These are very, very personal questions, very everyday questions most of the time. Yeah, and we just there's a choice to be made there, right? There's a choice between small town, big city. Wojtek, tell me, what choice would you make there? Do you think if you have to choose between living in a big city and a small town, what's your choice, Wojtek?
It's hard to say because I was born and raised in a pretty small city, pretty small town. But now I'm living in let's say in Polish conditions. It's a big city. Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
So I know the difference, and I prefer big cities, to be honest, because you are more anonymous. Anonymous.
Perfect. Let me put that in a box. That's a very nice reason for wanting to live in a big city. I like that. There we go. Now let me open this up to everybody here, and I see we have some new students who have entered the class. Welcome everybody to this TOEFL speaking class. The example question we're looking at is some people prefer to live in a small town, others prefer to live in a big city. Which place would you prefer to live in? And Wojtek has already said, well, an advantage. Oh, I need you to mute that microphone, Lily. 1 second. Wojtek has pointed out very nicely that an advantage of living in a big city is you can be anonymous. You have the advantage of anonymity in a big city. But let me ask everybody here, what are some other advantages of living in a big city? Igor, what do you think? Advantages of what are the good things about big cities for you?
But I want to ask, what is anonymous in big city?
That's a good question.
No, I mean that you do not, people do not know who you are. Or
yeah,
what?
I think that's a great definition. Yeah. So are you wondering why that's a good thing?
Yeah, why? For example, for me, it's I do not see a difference if I am anonymous or not anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
Okay. Well, let me say the advantage of anonymity, of being anonymous, is, well, for me, and I spent 10 years in London, and that was a big city. The anonymity meant I had privacy, and I didn't have to say hello and good morning to everybody every day, and that was nice for me to be able to sort of melt in. And there was a sense of camouflage there. If you're busy and you're wanting to go places, you don't always have time to say hello to everybody. Now, of course, the thing is, and that's why this question is kind of fun, there are lots of people who would say, well, I don't want to be anonymous. I want everyone to know me. I want to be part of that community. Now, if you live in a big city like New York or Moscow or Tokyo or London, well, it's difficult to get that sense of community, of everyone knowing your name when you live in a big city with 9 million people. So, of course, some people would say, well, I prefer to live in a small town.
I can say that for me, the most important thing, how to say, the most important fact, or what's the most important?
You could say the most important thing, the most important factor. Sure.
Okay, the most important factor is for me is that you have more job opportunities than in a small town. So you can choose from many you can choose jobs where you want to work. You can switch jobs easily. And you can have a good salary, good payment. But in small town, usually you don't have so much from where to choose. So I would choose a big city.
Okay, and I put that one in the chat box. That's another great reason to live in a big city. And you mentioned not just more opportunities to get a job, but more opportunity to move between jobs. And so we could talk about work mobility as well, or employment mobility, that sense of being able to move either between different levels of the job or between different jobs, different careers even, because a big city tends to have, as you say, it tends to have, well, of course, it has a greater variety of employment as well. So let me put work mobility as well. I can spell that right. Nope. You need an eye test. There we go. There we go. Okay, and I ask everybody here, one more good thing about living in a big city.
Yeah. Hello?
Yeah, hello, Pratik. Tell me.
Yeah, fine. Hi, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
The advantage of living in big cities is to basically advance in every way and get rid of any kind of hesitations and establish as a big personality.
Can you tell me one more time?
The main reason to choose the big city is that we can advance in our life and get rid of every kind of hesitation.
Interesting, interesting. I like that first point, that the sense of advancing. Okay, that's it. Yeah, I like that's interesting. I like that. And just let me point out, a question like this, all the questions that we're going to look at today, there's no right or wrong answer, of course. You know, the choice that we make in this one, big, small town, big city, the examiner isn't going to say, oh no, small town, no way. No, that's not right. They're not looking for a particular answer. What they're looking for is a clear answer, a direct answer, and then they're listening for you to explain why, okay? So the choice you make doesn't really matter, because of course what the biggest thing for the examiner, the biggest thing for the listener is the language, the English language you're using. So the clearer you're able to describe things, the more examples you're able to give to create this very clear, exact picture of why you're choosing between either the small town or the big city, the better your answer is going to be. Hey, before we move on and start our real practice, what about the poor small town? I've neglected the small town. Who can give me an example? Who can give me a good reason for small towns?
Good nature, a more clear water, clear. You can healthy life. You can have healthy life than in a big city.
Life.
Yeah, hello?
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Yeah, Pratik, go ahead.
Yeah. In small towns, it is environment friendly, not polluted. We can live a healthy life.
Okay. Ida, tell me, can you give me another reason for an advantage of living in a small town?
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, I'm asking Ida for this one. Yeah.
I think in general, small towns have a better life cost or have in fact a reasonable cost of living compared to big cities. So
I like
for me,
that
it's
one.
very important.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me put that in there. More reasonable. That's a very good point. And sometimes we don't really have a choice if rent or food or if the taxes, if the big city is just too expensive for us to live in, well, we don't really have a choice. We have to live in that smaller town. But clearly, it can be an advantage. Absolutely, if you know, if the cost, as you say, if the cost of living is cheaper or more bearable in a smaller town, that's a great reason to want to live there. My goodness. So we can see when we look at a question like this. Of course, these are really everyday questions, and I'm sure, you know, if we took the time for any question in this part of the TOEFL exam, you would find it quite straightforward to think of reasons to choose one option and reasons to choose another option. That's not the most difficult part. The most difficult part is to make a choice, decide on your examples, and then give those examples in a short amount of time. Let me put those. Let me put the timing again in the chat box so that we're clear before we start our practice today. Okay. So our preparation time, when we hear the question and see the question, we get 15 seconds. Okay. There we go. 15 seconds to prepare your answer. Hey, remind me, how much time do we get to speak, to give our answer?
2 minutes?
Less than that.
1:45? 1:30?
That would be a fun game, wouldn't it? I'm going with 45 seconds. Okay, just 45 seconds to give your answer. Yeah. For question 2, there are different times for other parts. Yeah. So 15 seconds to prepare. 45 seconds. Put it in the box there. Oops. There we go. Yeah. 15 seconds to prepare. 45 seconds to speak. Okay, let's try some of these questions. I am going to make this as realistic as possible. I'm going to give each of you a different question. Okay, so because if I gave you 10 minutes to prepare your answer, it would be fabulous, but it wouldn't be as realistic. Okay,
we can write an essay in 10 minutes. And to read.
Exactly, you can write your script, absolutely, and that can be a useful activity. Of course it could be, but for this class, I want to give you I want to make it as realistic as possible for you, because that timing, that's really difficult. I think to do it in our own native language, it would be difficult to do that. So the TOEFL is a hard exam, but let me tell you, the more that we practice and the more that we practice correctly for the TOEFL exam, the better we're going to do, right? So let me find my first question. All right. Again, I'm going to put this. I'll put this in the chat box, and I'll also read it out as well. Ida, you were first in class today. Are you happy to start our practice today?
Yes, teacher. You know, I'm always happy.
All right. Oh, me too. Me too. And I'm glad to hear that. Thank you. Okay. Here's our question, and please, everybody, when you see the question in the box, when you hear me read this out, everybody take those 15 seconds to think about first thing, well, which do I choose? And the next thing, why? What are the reasons I would give in this answer to explain my choice? What are the details? How do I describe my choice? And after 15 seconds, I'll ask Ida to give me her answer. So here's the question in the box. Yeah. Ida, some people like to stick to tasks they know they can do well. Others like to try new things and take risks. Which do you prefer? You have 15 seconds to prepare your answer. Your 15 seconds start now. Okay, Ida, please begin your answer now.
Well, from my opinion, it's better in life to try new things and taking risks because of one main reason. That reason for me is that from my point of view, life is full of uncertainties, and you have to try new things in order to have new experience, new feelings. For example, some years ago, when I began to study English, I was really afraid to speak in English abroad in a foreign country. So I dread when I arrived at London in my first time. But finally, I have returned to London many times, and nowadays I feel really comfortable talking English. So like this experience, I think that it's a better idea trying to try new things in life. it's just my opinion.
Okay. That's an interesting answer, and I love the example that you're giving there. The timing, I think it was about maybe a little bit more than a minute. So, you know, of course, if you want to practice that question again, it's so important to practice giving an answer within that time. But I thought the example. I mean, the thing I want to focus on is that example was I think a fantastic example of backing up your answer. So you make a clear choice. You say, well, it's, you know, we're here to take chances. You talk about the reasons for doing that in general, which were, you know, getting new experiences, new feelings and emotions, and then you give that very clear example in your own life about, well, you know, I had to do that. And you mentioned the word dread when you arrived in the UK and you had to speak. Oh, my camera's pretty distracting. Can you? Yeah, Mahu, no oh, too many cameras. My goodness, no cameras. Cameras in class, please. Thank you. So to give that, to use the word dread is wonderful. That's a very clear piece of English language. But just that example, that where you say, okay, well, you know, at first I was very anxious, but then I practiced, I took that risk, and as you say, you have a happy ending there, Ida, because you can say, well, you know, I prefer to take risks, I prefer to try new things, and here's a great example of me doing just that, and now my life is better, my skills are better, my level of comfort in speaking English is better because I took that chance. So yeah, I thought it was really good. What I would encourage you to do is with a question like this, Ida, and everybody here, if you want to you know, practice that question again, it's going to be very helpful for you in the TOEFL environment to have more than one example. So you know, you can make that choice and say, I want to take chances, I want to try new things, but it's so good to give a second example, to squeeze that second example into the time, right?
No cameras.
Yeah, no cameras, please. Thank you. Okay, so Ida, thank you so much for that example. I love that the Speak English in London example. That was very clear. Some really nice language as well. So thank you for that. That was a great first practice. A great example for everyone else. Okay, I'll have to keep an eye on the camera because that's not helping. Okay. There we go. All right. So, yes, Wojtek, I'm sorry too. All right. I'm just not. Is that Mahu or it's not Wojtek? Is it? No, it must be Mahu.
I don't know. Something's wrong with my browser. You know, I don't know. I think it's doing these pictures.
Okay. All right. You might want to jump out of if it is you, Wojtek. You might want to just jump out of class and come back in again.
Okay.
You know, because I want to hear you practice after. Okay, so we'll wait till we'll hopefully hear from Wojtek later in the class with less camera this time. All right, let me carry on and say hello. So say hello and welcome back to Igor. Hello, Igor.
Yeah, hi again.
All right. Are you ready to practice with us?
Yeah, only give me an easy question, not very hard. Not too personal.
Oh, not okay. Okay, I'll try. I mean, there are. Oh no, I think if you guys, if you can turn these cameras off, they're flashing just by. Oh no, it's not Wojtek anymore, just Mahu. I think I'm gonna take him out of the pro. There we go. Okay. Well, all these questions. Let me tell you, Igor, that all the questions that I have, they're all things that really only you can answer because they are questions for your point of view. Yeah. So
okay, I'm ready.
Okay, well, I hope you can do your best with this one. I don't think it's too personal. It does. Of course, you do need to give your opinion. I don't. It's not a private question. Just one that you would have that anyone would have a view on. I'll put it in the chat box, and again, 15 seconds to prepare. Everybody, please take those 15 seconds. Such good practice to give yourself that little bit of pressure and think, what's my choice? What are my descriptions? But I'll be asking Igor to give me his answer. Okay. There we go. Igor, your question. Would you prefer to go on a long trip by car or by train? explain with reasons and examples. There we go. You have 15 seconds to prepare your answer. Your 15 seconds begin right now.
Can I try?
Igor, okay. Igor, please, please begin your answer now.
I would prefer to go on a long trip by train. I think by train it's more safer to travel in a long trip because as we can see in cars, when you travel by car, may happen something, may happen an accident. So also by train to travel, it's cheaper. It's it's cheaper than by car, and if you travel by train, you arrive faster than by car. But of course, by car we have some pluses, as it's more interesting because you can stop, you can take pictures of some beautiful places, and you can do many things in travel by car when you travel by car. And by my opinion, that I choose to travel by train because, as I said, it's more faster and it's more cheaper for me. Thank you.
Okay, okay. A nice summary at the end. And if we have time at the end of our answer, and if we think about, okay, 45 seconds, and the more we practice with that timing, the easier it is for us to work out. Okay, we must have.
May I say, really, I don't care. I may travel by train or by car. I do not have a serious opinion by what, but I made up this opinion to give some reasons. But I don't care.
And I think, and of course, that's absolutely fine, because this the TOEFL exam, when they ask these questions, it's not an honesty test, and it's a test of English. And the truth is, there'll be a lot of questions we might be asked about our favorite music, or food, or books, or travel. And of course, I absolutely, we may not have a strong view. We may think, well, there's this and there's that, because of course we're very used to talking about both sides of things. So it's very common for us to do that. In the TOEFL exam, they're going to want you to, they absolutely require you to make one choice and stick to it. So I like the fact, Igor, that you started the question by choosing one and going with it and giving those clear examples. Again, in an ordinary conversation, yeah, absolutely, we might talk about the good things of both. That would be a good discussion, absolutely, to talk about the good things about traveling by car, and then, oh, well, there are advantages to traveling by train, and yes, absolutely, we talk about price, flexibility, whether we like to travel with other people, whether we like to travel by ourselves, what sort of things, you know, do we want to read a book, do we want to concentrate on the drive? So there are a lot of points, and I like that your reasons for train travel were nice and clear. And yeah, so in the TOEFL exam, we don't need to cover both sides. We just need to make a choice, a clear choice, and then just talk about the advantages for that one angle. So it's not about a balanced argument. It's simply, you know, it's like, well, I like this one because 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there we go.
So about, for example, I said that of course by traveling by car it's very interesting, something like that. I do not need to say this after I chose the side of train.
Yeah, it's a good example of where in a normal conversation that would be very natural. Of course it would, to say, oh, I mean, there are good things about the car, because we know that's true. There are good things about the car. However, yes, the nature, the requirements of the TOEFL exam, they're saying pick one answer and go with it. Yeah. So there we go. Sorry, I'm trying to keep him out of class there. There we go. So yeah, we don't have to cover both angles in the TOEFL question. Yeah, no problem at all there. Right. Okay.
But I have another question. If, for example, what would you choose? To live in an apartment or in a house? Yes, and if I would say I prefer both options because an apartment is safer and house is, for example, is more beautiful to live. So this is a good answer. Or I should choose one side, only apartment or only house.
The questions, those question 2 questions, they require you to make a choice between one or the other. So it is going to be, the examiner is listening very carefully for you to make a choice between one option and another option. If we talk about both, then the choice becomes a little less clear. So that's going to affect your score.
My choice is two. I want to live in both. My choice is to live in an apartment and in house.
Yeah.
This is choice. No.
Yeah. No, it's not going to work. You're going to have to choose between one. And yeah. So that the task in question 2, and just question 2, there are 5 other parts of the speaking section of the TOEFL exam where there are different requirements. There are different things we need to do. So yeah. It's between house and apartment. We're going to choose one, and we'll explain why as well. Okay. So all right. Now let me say hello again to Wojtek. Hello again, Wojtek.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello. Are you ready to practice with us now?
Yeah, of course.
Excellent. Let me find a good question for you here. This is always a good question. Okay, I'm going to put this one in the chat box. Everyone take those 15 seconds. There we go. All right, Wojtek, which kind of job would you prefer? A job that is uninteresting but has a high salary, or a job you really enjoy with a moderate salary? You have 15 seconds to prepare your answer. Those 15 seconds begin now. Okay, Wojtek, please begin your answer now.
I really, I think that I will choose an interesting job with modern salary, because I really believe that the work is not about the salary. I think that when you in my when I look at it, I spend most of my day in work, and I really need to enjoy it. I couldn't work in a place where I would be bored or something like that. So I think that my answer is an interesting job with modern salary.
Okay.
My answer wasn't very good, I think. I know that.
But this is why we have to practice, and I'm sensitive to this because it's very difficult to prepare an answer with 2 or 3 examples in just 15 seconds. That's very challenging, and the people behind the TOEFL exam, well, they know that. They make it difficult for a reason. So, hey, the bad news is that it's a difficult exercise, but the good news is well, the more you practice, if you need to take an exam like this, or just even using these kinds of questions as a tool to improve your English, to improve your ability to think quickly and to come up with an answer nice and quickly, and an answer with good examples and details, because that's exactly what those English ears are listening for. Wojtek, if we think about this question now, I mean, if, say we're going for the interesting job with the moderate salary. What can we say to what sort of reasons can we give? I mean, what are the good things about this interesting job? Why is it better? That seems like a strange question, maybe, but why is it better to have an interesting job? How will that help us?
Because I think that as an adult person, you spend most of your life in your work, I think. And it's I think it's very sad when you don't enjoy your work. And I know maybe it sounds crazy for somebody, but I really love my job, for example.
Right.
I really so I'm really enjoying it, and it's very important for me to have a job that I like. I like. Yeah.
No, absolutely, and I think I've noticed in the United States that it's very common for people to talk about the importance of getting that satisfaction from their job and doing something they are passionate about and interested in. And you did begin to talk about that in your answer, Wojtek, because you were talking about, well, we spend most of our time as adults in that job, so it's so important for us to be able to to have that interesting job, and we're willing to make that change, willing to make that adjustment. It doesn't say for no salary. It says a smaller salary, and I think that's. Sorry, Mahu is desperate to take pictures in this class today for some reason. There we go. Okay.
He takes his time.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's funny because I mean, we're getting a class and he isn't, so well, there you go. But Wojtek, so I think that's a solid reason, and I think if we think, if you want to practice this question a second time, if you want to think about your reasons for choosing that interesting job, I know that you can think of, well, yes, I want the interesting job, but what is it? What is it? How does that help me? And of course, it might be that it helps you. Well, it helps you do a better job. It helps you get up in the morning. It helps you do the job, and this can be about satisfaction, about self-respect, maybe about the opinion of other people around you, or just your own feeling about wanting to do something that maybe it makes a difference, maybe it makes things better. A lot of people, of course, they prefer to do a job where they can see a clear result from what they're doing. Sometimes it can be difficult to really see the difference you're making, but sometimes a more interesting job, you can see the effect that your job is having on people. So that can be an advantage of doing that more interesting job, and it just makes it more interesting.
Can we say some to this question? Answer like that. I choose an interesting job because it's demonstrated by scientists that if you have an interesting job, you live longer, and if you work at an interesting job, you may live less because of heart. So interesting job influence positively on your heart, but uninteresting negatively. Can we say something like that, or will be a very weird answer?
It wouldn't be weird. I think it's a good example of something, and it would be sure we can talk about that. It's going to help, of course, if we say I would prefer that interesting job because I want to live longer, and I understand that if I have that interesting job, it will help me live longer. So it would be less about talking about a scientific study or research and just saying, in my opinion, I'm going to live longer with that interesting job. I think some jobs are so interesting they they might shorten our lifespan. I don't know, but so just because in terms of 45 seconds, you're not going to have a lot of time to refer to other things. The only thing you've got time to do is talk about your own experiences and your own opinions as well. So it's so I think talking about living longer or having a longer life, sure, go for it, but you can make it personal. Yeah. Does that help?
Yeah. No, it's kind maybe sound not maybe sound peculiar with answer. That's why I ask, because no, maybe some person who will listen to this answer would not understand me. Maybe he would think that I'm too, I don't know. The answer is not standard answer.
Well, you can give an interesting answer to talk about things about an interesting job. I don't think it's a strange reason.
Another teacher here on Verling that with TOEFL, he taught us TOEFL. So something about that question was answered. He said, "You may talk about whatever you want to talk about aliens. They don't care. They want to listen to your English proficiency in English."
Right. Well, with question 2, I don't think that would be I think talking about aliens probably wouldn't be that helpful. But we have different opinions about these things. You're going to want to keep it pretty straight in the TOEFL exam. I mean, with a question like that about jobs, just you can just be honest, or think of some quite ordinary reasons. I think the lifespan thing, I think that's fine. You can talk about that, but I just mean talk about it in the sense of this is something I want to do, because as soon as with these questions 1 and 2, these are questions where we need to give a personal answer. This is about talking about from our perspectives, and that's something only we can do, and that's why they're asking in questions 1 and 2. They want to see if we're able just to say, well, in my opinion, I think it's this for reasons 1, 2, and 3. If we start saying, well, I know for a lot of people, or I know there's research out there that says that's something we can do to take the focus away from ourselves, and really these questions 1 and 2, they're very much about our ability to speak about to give a personal opinion, and we don't have to. There we go. So we don't have to cite our evidence or to talk about research or anything like that. So yeah. All right. Now I want to go back and give Ida another practice. Ida, are you ready to practice with us?
Yes, teacher.
All right. Excellent. Let me find another question. Here we go. Interesting one. Okay, and by the way, half of these questions, maybe they'll be personal questions or work questions. A lot of the questions in the TOEFL exam are going to be about academic issues, because of course most of the people, a majority of the people taking the TOEFL exam are students. Of course, they take the TOEFL exam in order to continue their studies at an English-speaking university. Yeah, so. Here's an example of one of those academic or education or training questions. Let me put that question in the chat box. There we go. Ida, your question, and please everybody take those 15 seconds with us and think about your choice and the reasons behind it. Ida, would you prefer to do a course that involves lectures and tutorials on site, or a course that is conducted online via distance learning? Let me give you 15 seconds to prepare your answer. Your 15 seconds begin right now. Okay, Ida, please begin your answer now.
Okay, if I have to choose either to do a course online or on site, I will choose with Anita doing online. Because I think that nowadays the internet offers many opportunities to us, and it is more comfortable to do it online. For example, now currently I'm trying to improve my English skills, and for me it's more comfortable and more useful to do it on Berlin instead of going to a native speaker and wherever to and spend a lot of time. And also for me, money is important because usually online courses are cheaper than on site. So it is another thing to take into account.
All right, I like that. A very nice, very concise answer there. So you've given us two, I would say, two pretty clear reasons why you're preferring that online learning. Remind us again, Ida. Tell me what are the two things that you talk about in favor of online? Yeah.
Yeah, about money and about time.
Absolutely. Okay. And those are two great examples to use when we're talking about online learning, about the advantages. You're right, of course. So much of it could be relatively cheap, or it could be less expensive. What are the things, if we are studying on site, if we're going to a university or college and studying that way, what is more expensive? I mean, maybe the course itself is more expensive, but Ida, what are the other things that cost us more money if we're having to go and study like that?
Well, in fact, you have to commute or to go to the university or wherever, so you have to take the bus, your car, or whatever. And it's
absolutely,
more in that sense.
Okay, and I was thinking, well, maybe there's of course, if we have kids, maybe there's childcare costs as well. Maybe not. A lot of universities and colleges have crashes and things we can use, but yes, there are going to be other expenses, and so it's so good if we talk about the fact that it's going to cost less money to do it online. We can talk about, well, what are the things we're saving? Yeah, what are the advantages? And if we give specific examples, like, okay, well, I'm not having to pay to sorry, let me see if I can do that. Yeah, there we go. If we're not having to, if we're specific about, okay, well, I'm not having to pay for transport, childcare, whatever those costs are. And of course, and you mentioned time as well being an advantage. What are the things we can do with that saved time? Can we spend more time studying? Can we spend more time working or relaxing? So there are some. I really like those two clear examples, and that was a very efficient answer. I think you can make that answer even better if you give some more details underneath each example. So if we're talking about saving time, or if we're talking about saving money, what are the other things we can do with that money or with that time to really show and really describe why that online course might be an advantage. So that would make that answer even clearer and give an even more well described answer for the examiner to listen to. All right, there we go. So we definitely have time for more practice for everybody. Let me just do that. There we go. All right, now let me come back to Igor. Igor, are you ready for your next practice?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, let me find. Interesting. Okay, this one is not academic, so let's see if you like this one or not.
Okay.
There we go. Again, 15 seconds to prepare. Igor, your question. When shopping, some people use brand names to help them decide what to buy. Others prefer to go only by price. Which do you prefer? Let me give you 15 seconds to prepare your answer. Your 15 seconds begin now. Okay, Igor, please begin your answer now.
When I go shopping, I prefer to use brand names to help me to decide what to buy, because for me it's important to buy things that have good quality, and usually when you buy things that have they're branded, you are sure that you buy a thing with top quality. You buy a top quality product. So and usually products that are branded, people who buy, when I buy this product, I am associated with higher level of people, let's say. So that's why I prefer to buy branded products.
Okay, I like that. I like that. A nice
But
tight
this
answer.
wasn't my opinion, because I buy by price, not by price, by functionality. So I look what advantages has that product, and I don't care about brand. I can buy something cheaper and with more functionality. But I cannot say this in this answer, no? Or I can say.
They're asking you to make a choice, and aren't they again? And of course, in a conversation with a friend or someone you just met, if you're talking about, well, how do you decide how to buy things? Well, if it was a normal conversation, an informal conversation, I know I would say, well, there are some things I buy by brand because I care about the quality or even the image, and other things I don't care at all. So I'm just looking for the cheapest, the least expensive item. I can't give that answer in the TOEFL exam. They're asking me to choose one, either brand or price, and explain why. So they want the same thing for you, and Igor, that's what you did in the scope of your answer. So that was definitely the right way to do it. Go ahead.
And then they said, that's why I choose this. This is, give me some points in this TOEFL exam, this conclusion. That's why I choose this, or nothing.
That's up to you. If you're going to see the time going down, if you have 5 seconds left and you have nothing else left to say, why not end it with and for those reasons. That's why I choose shopping by brand, or I choose shopping by price. That's fine. But it's not something that we have to do. It's something way down the list of our priorities.
Another teacher said that Verbling, who taught TOEFL, said this is very important because you show that you finished the answer, and it's not something weird that you talk and stop talking, and they do not understand. You finished your answer, or you may want something to say. So he said, if you would say something like that, that's why they see that you finished. So this is a plus for you.
I understand that point. The truth is, though, with the TOEFL exam, it doesn't matter if you finished or not, because at the end of 45 seconds, the recording stops. So the examiner isn't waiting for you to finish. You've gone home, and the examiner checks your recording. So whether you're finished or not at 45 seconds, he's not going to know. It's a nice way to finish an answer. If you have 3, 4, 5 seconds at the end, if you've given a good full answer, direct answer, examples, and you have a couple of seconds at the end, sure, finish it in a neat way. That's nice. That's going to sound natural, and it's going to make it look like a good looking answer. But far more important than that is at the top of the answer, give a direct answer to the question, and make sure you give at least 2 reasons why with examples and details. So if you've given one example and you have 5 seconds left, you want to concentrate on giving a second reason or a second example, much more important than finishing it off like that. The Ielts exam, I think, is a little different. With the Ielts exam, you do need to be very clear when you've finished some of these questions, because there is a live person waiting for you to answer. But with the TOEFL, the vast majority of people who take that TOEFL exam, it's going to be the internet version. So you're sitting in a room with other students and you're speaking into, just like we are now, headphones, microphone. So there's no one, we're not speaking to a person, it's just a computer reading out those questions and timing our responses. So Computer doesn't care whether we're finished or not. So
And
yeah.
how much points can you give me for this kind of answer that I said before? No.
Yeah, I'm not going to give you the score, but just because I'm not a professional TOEFL examiner, I'm a professional ESL teacher. Okay, and also with a lot of these exams, they will have two examiners listening to these recordings, so they can they can match their scores, things like that, and they're going to have a strict rubric. A way to test your answer against these things as well. So it wouldn't be fair for me to give you a score. I don't think that would be helpful for you. Okay. Hey, we are out of time. I'm really grateful for everyone who was here in class today. Thank you so much, all of you, for being good enough to put up with me and answer my questions. Some great examples of questions, some great examples of interesting things we can talk about when we're backing up our reasons. Question 2 in the speaking part of TOEFL, all about, first of all, giving a direct answer, making a choice, and then explaining why. And the more detailed, the better examples and details we can give when we're answering questions like these, absolutely the better. Okay. And of course, yes, we want to concentrate on good, crisp, clear pronunciation. We want to focus on good word choice, on good grammar. We want to use the most appropriate tense if we're talking about the past or the future or the present. Yes, it's important to focus on those tenses as well. But most importantly, answer that question. If you speak beautiful English, talking about something else, I can tell you, then you will get a 0 for that answer, because we need to answer the question. The most important thing you need to do, answer that question, and then of course make it as easy as possible for that examiner to understand your question. Okay, the more they can understand that you're saying, the more they can give you credit for, and the higher score you can potentially get. Guys, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me in class today. Let me finish putting my Facebook page in the chat box, and I encourage you absolutely to follow me on Facebook, and that's going to give you a very good idea. I publish my Verbling schedule every weekend, and that'll give you an idea of the classes that I'm running here on Verbling. Okay, so
yeah, I follow you on Facebook. You put very many photos with cats.
I'm big on the
your
cats.
Profile.
I'm big on the cats. Like, it's something I do. But that's for everybody as well, Igor. Everybody who's watching the class. So please follow me on Facebook, and thank you so much. I will see you all again very soon. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.